What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to have a chat about Riftbound. There's a new TCG on the horizon. It is Riftbound, it is based on League of Legends, and it's starting to look very cool. You may have heard this previously referred to as Project K. That's because it was called Project K. Simple. But it turns out what they've gone and done is, essentially, they did a little bit of a tease. There was a bit of negative feedback about things like card art and UI and all of that. And of course, Project K was never going to be the full name anyway. They've gone away, had a think, reworked a bunch of stuff, and come back today with the proper reveal of Riftbound. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, I think this looks fun. And you know by now, I'm a dude that loves my TCGs, right? I am all over any new and exciting TCGs, and I'm telling you right now, this is new and it is exciting. We've got actual cards to go and have a look at, which is kind of awesome. We have some news about mechanics, although we unfortunately haven't been told everything, boo, etc. And we've got some other interesting news as well. Now, in terms of a release date, this is where it gets kind of interesting, because I listened very carefully. There was a little information video they gave out, and I had to dig through, and I was very, very careful looking at the language there. They said it is going to be launched in China in the summer of this year, followed by other English-speaking countries in 2025. Which means, yes, we will be getting it in English-speaking countries in 25. I'm going to go out on a limb here and assume that that includes the US and the UK. Could be wrong. That's, I think, a fair assumption to make. But they specifically said China in summer 25, followed by English-speaking countries in 2025. Which means it looks a lot, and by a lot, I mean this is basically what they said, it's coming to China first. The fact that they said summer for China but just 2025 for other English-speaking countries, and the fact that they said followed by other English-speaking countries, that tells me that China's getting the first release of this. Which is unusual, because that doesn't happen. If you look at the big TCGs nowadays, actually they are going to China. Pokemon, we cover Pokemon news from China on my other channel, PTCG Radio. And One Piece is in China now, and Lorcana is in China. We see a lot of these games ending up in China. But they don't start in China. So this is weird to me. I'm not saying whether it's particularly good or particularly bad. I don't really have a strong opinion on it either. I mean, obviously, I'd like it to be released in English first. But honestly, I think this is super exciting. They also made a point of saying additional regional rollouts in 2026 after talking about the other English territories, which to me suggests strongly they're not doing other languages in 2025. It seems like other languages have to wait until next year. Now, this is where it gets very interesting, especially when it comes to Japan. Because we all know that Japan is the big place when it comes to TCGs. Lorcana recently went and launched in Japan. That was the last of the big TCGs to really, get a Japanese launch. One Piece, of course, originates in Japan, and Pokemon originates in Japan. And generally speaking, you kind of need a big Japanese presence to be a big TCG. And as it stands at the moment, no word of a Japanese release, and the fact that they said followed by English-speaking countries in 25 with additional regional rollouts in 26, certainly makes it sound like a Japanese release is not on the horizon this year. And the reason I hone in on Japan there rather than other countries is, like I've said, Japan is really where TCGs are the most popular. It's the country that has the most TCGs. It is where most of the big TCGs come from. So I do find that a little bit interesting. Of course, we also heard the news a little while ago here that they are partnering with UVS to bring this game out. UVS, of course, we've talked about on this channel a bunch in the past. I like UVS. I'm a big fan of UVS. So, yeah, UVS is awesome, frankly. And they certainly know what they're doing when it comes to TCGs. So you know what? Yeah. It sounds good to me. Also, I kind of love this because it basically says we are a new card game. We're not 100% sure exactly the best way to do everything. We are not experts at this. So let's go and partner with a company that is. And I think that is absolutely fantastic. I think that is wonderful. I think that is the right decision. And it just gives me a lot of hope that this card game is going to be great. So we've had a few cards up on the screen as we've been talking here. Let's actually look at some of the cards, bearing in mind, as far as I am aware, and it certainly isn't on the website, we don't have the full mechanics here. And I know some stuff has been previously revealed, but I also know they've reworked a bunch of stuff. So let's not just assume that everything is going to be the same as it was before. Let's wait until we've actually got some specifics here. So obviously they went and revealed Jinx. Jinx, I don't know much about League of Legends, but I do know that this is the most popular character. And Jinx is a legend. They showed off 2 other legends while we're here. They also showed off Victor, who is a legend, and they showed off Yasuo, who is a legend. And they said that every deck has a legend. They also tease that there are going to be secret rare versions of these that are going to be nice and fancy. We didn't see them, they didn't show them, that's a bit sad. If we have a look in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see there are 298 cards in the set, but they talked about secret rares. They talked about having over 300 cards in the first set, so it seems like there's going to be some secret rares. So if we have a look at Jinx then, obviously there's no cost associated here. It seems like the legend are essentially leaders like we see in so many other games. And we've got a couple of symbols there, traits or aspects or whatever they end up being called, which presumably is going to help you with deck building like we see from leaders in a million other games. But if you look at the name of the card, Legend Jinx, Loose Cannon. And Loose Cannon is in very big wording there, and that's very important, because that is the designer's way of telling us there's going to be a few Jinx leaders. If there was only ever going to be one Jinx, and they were going to cycle through a lot of League of Legends characters before maybe coming back, the focus would be on Jinx. But the focus on the subheading of Loose Cannon, that tells us that they are going to be repeating leaders, like every other card game does, to be fair. It's also got a skill at the start of your beginning phase. Draw 1 if you have 1 or fewer cards in your hand. Bonus points for saying 1 or fewer, not 1 or less, which not every card game right now manages to do. Which on the one hand, I love a legend that draws. On the other hand, having have 1 or fewer cards in my hand? That seems like I'm playing with a very small hand size. But again, we've not seen very much of this game. I'm assuming there's a bunch of cards to help out with this. In terms of Victor, we got Herald of the Arcane, and we got different symbols there. Again, it's going to help with deck building. And it seems like you can pay 1 and tap it to play a token unit. I also like token units. Token characters are fun. So again, presumably we're going to see a bunch of cards here which can flood the board with units, or at least tokens. We'll have to wait and see later on. And then the other one we saw here was Yasuo, who again has different symbols, and 6 is generally about what we tend to see in card games, so it wouldn't surprise me if these 3 combined gave us all 6 of these symbols, aspects, whatever they end up being called. But what Yasuo's got here is pay 2 and tap it to move a friendly unit to or from your base. Yeah. I'm not sure how good that is. It's going to be fun finding it out though, isn't it? And if we have a look at these legends side by side, one of the things that they were told when they did the first run of cards, when they had that preview thing going around, was people didn't like the recycled art. I think it was recycled art. People didn't like the art for some reason anyway. And the UI, it wasn't working for people. These new cards look awesome. And if you have a little bit of a look, right at the bottom of the card, just to the right of the middle, we have an artist credit. Artist credit is good. Artist credit means new artwork. This is great news. Now, in addition to Legends, we also have units like Deadbloom Predator. Here we've got an 8 cost and presumably 8 strength, I want to say. And then we've got Deflect. So opponents have got to pay stuff to choose with a spell or ability. And you can play it to an occupied enemy battlefield. We'll go through the rules properly when they're actually out there. because yes, there's more going on in this card as well. And then we also saw, and this is really interesting here, Super Mega Death Rocket Signature Spell Jinx. Again, we got a 4 cost here. And then you'll notice, of course, that underneath the 4, we've got a couple of colours, which just so happen to match what we see on your Jinx Legend. Not a coincidence. These will basically be the colour cost or the aspect cost, as we've seen in a million other card games. But it deals 5 to a unit, and when you conquer, you may discard 1 to return this from your trash to your hand. So it seems like it deals good damage and keeps bouncing back to your hand to be reused. That seems good. But the bigger thing here, before we can really talk about the rules properly, this seems like we're going to get signature spells for these legend cards, allowing you to make a bit of a tribal deck, which sounds like a lot of fun. The other important piece of news they gave us was that there's going to be a product called the Proving Ground, which includes 4 legends, and it is designed to get casual or first-time players into the game. It's basically Lorcana Gateway, or at least that's what it sounds like. And I say this as a wonderful, wonderful thing, or it sounds like the Pokemon Battle Academy. And this is awesome, because TCGs, for nerds like me, very good and very approachable. TCGs for your average person, not very easy to get into, not very approachable. People basically jump out very quickly or don't try it because they're worried. Well, wonderful news. This is going to allow people to get in more easily. We like this. If this is going to be a big successful TCG, it's going to need to attract new TCG players. The fact that they're thinking about it so far out is excellent, excellent news. And I actually should just add a couple extra things before we finish here. It has been confirmed that it is being designed as a one-on-one game. And if we get proper organised play, which is important, and we'd better be getting proper organised play for the game to really stand a chance of being a player, well, 1v1 is good, but they've also designed it as a 4-player free-for-all. And I think there's something about 2v2 in the trailer as well, so that sounds fun. And also, Dave Guskin, who is the lead designer on the game, has basically said, we'll be at Riot and tabletop events this year, so come find us for a chance to play Riftbound. Oh yes, they're going to be at some events. Which events? We don't know. But you know what? Sooner or later we will, ladies and gentlemen. Sooner or later we will. And I, for one, am rather excited. This is the first video I've made about this game. We're very early on. There is a huge amount of stuff we don't know. Although, usual deal, make sure you watch this video and share it with your friends so the video does well and I can keep making videos about Riftbound because I am hyped for this game. League of Legends is a big property that people absolutely love. This game looks awesome and I am extremely excited. I will bring you more updates when there are updates to be brought. For now, I want to know what you think about this. I want to know your thoughts, your feelings, your opinions, your predictions, and everything else. So go nuts in the comment section, would you? But be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about, well, apparently Riftbound and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can get some bonus pods, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.